When you're a kid, the idea of living inside a Toys R Us sounds like a dream come true. But for Channing Tatum and ROOFMAN, it's a reality. Here's my quick review. Channing Tatum is Jeff. He's a charismatic criminal on the run from police who finds refuge in a hidden area inside a Toys R Us and decides to live there until the heat dies down. During Jeff's time living at the store, he assumes a new identity and forms a relationship with a divorced mom named Lee, played by Kirsten Dunst. Soon Jeff starts to form a real bond with Lee's daughters and her church community, and we as an audience are left wondering what will happen when consequences eventually catch up to him. ROOFMAN is based on an actual guy named Jeffrey Manchester who robbed a bunch of McDonald's stores, escaped from prison, and actually did end up living inside a Toys R Us. Whenever we have these movies adapted from a true story, my first concern is always that we're going to get a very Hollywoodified version, where it's either way too goofy or way too melodramatic. Thankfully, I feel like ROOFMAN avoids a lot of that, and it tries to make the story feel much more natural and grounded. The greatest strength of this movie, though, is the central performances. Channing Tatum is basically an ideal pick for this role because he's so effortlessly warm and likable. You know Jeff is a criminal, but he has such golden retriever energy that you're instantly rooting for him. Kirsten Dunst does such a good job of making Lee feel very natural and very relatable. She's a divorced mom. She's doing her best to raise her two teenage daughters. She's dealing with her boss, who's just kind of like a smug jerk. And so when she starts to form this relationship with Jeff, who she knows as John, we're really hoping that everything just works out for both of them. The rest of the cast are also really strong, but their roles are definitely a lot smaller. We've got Peter Dinklage in here, Ben Mendelsohn, Uzo Aduba, Juno Temple, Lakeith Stanfield. There's even a little tiny appearance from Tony Revolori. We also get cameos from a lot of the real people involved in this case. For example, the truck driver at the jail is in fact the actual truck driver at the jail. We've got the arresting officer in here. Even the real-life Lee makes a brief appearance. Having those real people in here and using a lot of real locations in North Carolina where they shot the film, it lends ROOFMAN a level of authenticity that feels very refreshing. Of course, ROOFMAN also reminded me a lot of another Channing Tatum movie that I absolutely love, and that's Logan Lucky, but this movie leans more toward heart than toward more pure comedy. So ROOFMAN is not going to give you Hollywood hijinks and grand cinematic spectacle, but it's a nice, tight little story that is actually a very satisfying watch. As always, if you want my full detailed review of ROOFMAN, you can find that on trashwire.com, and don't forget to follow me on Letterboxd at Trashwire.